Rwanda, land of 1,000 hills. At the base of one of these hills, overlooking the country's capital, is the Kigali Memorial Centre. The museum opened in April 2004 to mark the 10-year anniversary of 100 days of genocide. During that 9-week period, 1 million predominantly minority ethnic Tutsis were murdered with indescribable barbarity. Transworld Sport last visited Rwanda in 1996 to report on the efforts of Olympic Aid, an organisation which had been created by the Lillehammer Olympic Organising Committee in preparation for the 1994 Winter Games in Norway. Although Olympic Aid is now known as Right to Play, its purpose has remained largely unchanged, to show support for people in war-torn countries and areas of distress. In the first of a 3-part series, we return to Rwanda to report on the role sport is playing in rebuilding a society that is, to this day, attempting to cope with the legacy of genocide.
Sport alone cannot bring about the healing the society needs, like ours. But that has to be done in combination with other efforts. But what is important to stress here is that sport has its own place, has its own role to play in bringing together the society, in healing the minds of people, in focusing on it as something that brings people together. Even in a competition, it brings them together.
The words of Rwanda's President Paul Kagame underline just how much emphasis the country's government has placed on sport. From rebuilding to reconciliation, sporting programmes have been put in place to encourage social change. What's more, the government started these programmes during the early days that followed the genocide as an attempt to foster trust among children, as the Minister for Youth, Culture and Sport explains.
In 1994, after the war, after the genocide, there were these problems because the country was scattered. Everybody has gone away, refugees, and people are coming back from different countries. What we did in this ministry, we grouped together all the youth and give them balls, put them on the pitch, and ask them to play, to start playing. So you see that now people start interacting.
The popularity of volleyball in Rwanda provides perhaps the most dramatic example of the success of the government's strategy. Prior to 1998, volleyball had limited appeal in Rwanda and was not generally played outside of the capital. However, as part of a 7-year programme to develop the sport, the Dutch embassy in Kigali began to fund a volleyball training programme specifically intended to encourage reconciliation among the country's youth. Jean Rusindanza is the executive secretary of the Fédération Rwandaise de Volleyball, or FRVB.
For 1 year, volleyball coaches were taught by a Dutch expert. After their training was complete, we sent them out to different regions of the country to pass on their knowledge to school teachers, who in turn taught their students.
Largely due to the efforts of the FRVB, volleyball is now played extensively outside of Kigali, and each of Rwanda's 12 provinces send a team to an annual national championship. Although matches are primarily about having fun, the wider social importance is not lost on the students themselves.
Volleyball brings us together. We socialise with the other team after the game, sharing ideas, and that helps us to improve our studies as well.
As headmaster of the school Clement attends, Martin Massabo has witnessed a difference in many of his students, something he attributes largely to the programme.
You may have noticed that after the game, the students built a bridge and were dancing happily. Even those watching them sing feel like joining in, so it makes all those involved feel as one.
Volleyball is now the third most popular sport in Rwanda, behind football and basketball. However, since the funding from the Dutch embassy ended in July 2004, the FRVB have been forced to downsize operations. They now have only 5 full-time employees, down from 20 just 1 year ago. If they don't secure another sponsor soon, the entire programme will be in jeopardy.
We started the volleyball program because we thought that sport would help our population regain a sense of unity. The people of this country need to understand the advantages that can come from sport, and that we can use it to progress as a society, to move on from the mistakes of our past. Our best hope is that volleyball in Rwanda will continue to develop from this starting point.
Igendere